Captain Kirk goes where no 90-year-old man has gone before, and a couple of tragic IMC crashes this week on Taking Off. Quick aviation news for the week. I'm Dan Milliken. We're sponsored by Gold Seal. Go to groundschool.com and Colten Mortgage. Colten Taking Off. Captain Kirk himself finally got to go into space. William Shatner, known for his portrayal of Captain James Tiberius Kirk from Star Trek's original series, got to go on the Blue Origin flight on October 13th. The short flight is all part of Jeff Bezos of Amazon's entry into the space tourism market. And it's a great PR move, putting Shatner in space. This is competing with Elon Musk, SpaceX, Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic. Look for more of this new type of space race in the next few years. Shatner said he was humbled and amazed at the experience, calling it indescribable. That simulators didn't even come close to the actual experience. Well done, Captain Kirk. I grew up watching those after-school reruns in the 70s, wanting to grow up to be Captain Kirk. And maybe I'll get that space trip when I get to age 90. It's a lot closer now, the age, not the trip. The federal government has made an indictment in the Boeing 737 MAX case, accusing the former chief technical pilot at Boeing, Mark Fortner, of withholding crucial information on the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmenting System, or MCAS, which is the culprit in the two fatal crashes that happened a couple years ago. They claim he withheld that information to the FAA during approval. And if true, this would give the FAA some shielding from liability by placing the blame on Fortner, whom they claim was attempting to save Boeing money by withholding this critical information from regulators. The charges include 2 counts of fraud and 4 counts of wire fraud. If convicted, Fortner could face decades in prison. Okay, turning to a very serious couple of stories. A twin-engine Cessna crashed near San Diego, and Juan Brown at Blanco Lirio and Victor at VAS Aviation do an exceptional breakdown. The facts. While on an ILS approach in IMC, that's Instrument Meteorological Conditions, clouds in other words, a Cessna 340 got off the approach and kept descending, though the pilot kept reporting he was climbing. And within seconds, he crashed in a neighborhood, killing himself and a delivery driver on the ground. Did he have instrument failures, or was it CFIT, controlled flight into terrain, caused by spatial disorientation? We'll wait for the NTSB report to know for sure, but this dovetails into another accident that happened a day later on October 12th. In Waukesha, Wisconsin, a GlasAir GlaStar crashed, killing the 2 occupants on board, a couple who had just celebrated their 50th anniversary. The GlasAir is a home-built experimental 2-seater, and this one had been built by the owner in 2017 and featured the Lycoming 0320. There were some Rotax ones earlier, but this one had the Lycoming. Before getting into the specifics of this tragic crash, let's talk about a principle of aviation that is rarely understood: special VFR. For those non-pilots watching, there are basically 2 different sets of rules that you fly under, either visual flight rules or instrument flight rules. And to be able to fly under the instrument flight rules, a pilot and a plane must be instrument certified. To fly visual flight rules, without getting too deep into the weeds, you have to be able to see around you. It means you can't fly into clouds. Now, there are times where, because the clouds are low, but not all the way to the ground, an airport might go IFR, meaning instrument only. And when a towered airport is IFR, you cannot fly in or out of their airspace without being on an IFR flight plan. There are exceptions, and one of those exceptions is something called special VFR. Put succinctly, special VFR is an air traffic control authorization for a VFR aircraft to operate in weather conditions less than the VFR minimums when they can remain VFR. For example, airports reporting 900-foot ceiling and a VFR airspace there requires 1,000. You can request special VFR clearance. There must be at least 1 statute mile visibility, and the pilot must remain clear of clouds. And if at night The pilot and the aircraft have to be IFR capable. In the real world, special VFR can be a handy tool. For instance, I took off on a photo mission from a Class D airport flying VFR. When returning 45 minutes later, the field had become IFR, though I was flying under the ceiling that it had come in. I contacted Tower, who told me they were IFR and asked what my intentions were. Well, I wanted to land. I could see the field. It was no problem to come in and land. But the controller kept repeating, "Field is IFR, say intentions." Having forgotten about special VFR, I ended up going back to ATC, getting a pop-up IFR clearance, climbed back up into the soup, did an approach, and 15 minutes later had landed. Another time, I was at a nearby Class D airport close to my home airport, which is untowered, and the field was IFR and it was night. Ceilings were 900 and I needed to go 7 miles to get home. And I could remain clear of clouds the whole way. I requested a special VFR clearance and was able to get home safely. The special VFR is a way to depart an area below VFR minimums so you can get better VFR weather. It's for flying towards better weather. And if using special VFR, you should always have an escape plan. Otherwise, just file IFR or wait. Which brings us to Wisconsin a few days ago in the GlasAir. The pilot and his wife had just visited family in the Wisconsin area before starting the trip home. The ceilings were low. The pilot had received his private certificate in 2013 and did not have an instrument rating according to the FAA Airman Database. The weather was overcast, 900-foot ceilings. He requested and received a special VFR clearance to depart the Class D Timmerman Airport. Upon departure, he called up Milwaukee Regional Approach to request flight following. Here's the audio, heavily edited down for time, just his portions.
We're just westbound off of Timmerman. I'd like flight following. We'll be westbound today.
Romeo Sierra, radar contact 3 miles west of Timmerman. Verify your destination and your type aircraft.
Romeo Sierra, go ahead.
November 628 Romeo Sierra, verify your destination and your type aircraft. Number 628 Romeo Sierra, Milwaukee. Romeo Sierra, remain clear of Waukesha / Delta.
Could you give me a head, please?
Hey, Romeo Sierra, flight heading 180.
180.
Hey, Romeo Sierra, what's your destination and your type aircraft?
We're experimental, GlaStar. Our destination will be Salina, Kansas.
Course heading for that destination.
Approximately hang on a second.
Hey, Romeo Sierra, turn right now, heading 260.
Turning right, 260.
Hey, Romeo Sierra, you're not able to climb at all, right?
That's right. I'm right at the.
Hey, Romeo Sierra, Roger, I can barely hear you. Just maintain VFR on course.
Hey, Romeo Sierra.
I see that you're climbing now. Do you have a gap in the ceiling? Is that what you're doing, climbing above the bus?
Yeah, we gotta climb.
Hey, Romeo Sierra, okay, what are you climbing to?
I hope to get about clouds.
Number 628 Romeo Sierra, radar contact is lost.
As you heard, he was instructed to remain outside the Class D Waukesha Airport where it was visibility 2.5, fog and mist, overcast 400. The pilot left a 900-foot ceiling to go through an area with a 400-foot ceiling, special VFR. And the 400-foot ceilings was the weather before departure. It wasn't something that just happened in the few minutes he was airborne. He had flown under 1,500 feet until deciding to climb, and once he climbed, the highest reported was to 2,600 feet, he had a left spiral down to the ground. Fortunately, no one on the ground was killed or injured. The 2 occupants were fatally injured. This accident is only a few days old, and at the time of recording this video, I'm not going to speculate this early, only the facts. Special VFR departure with ceilings 900, a fatal crash where the ceilings were 400 with a pilot who did not have an instrument rating. What can I take away? Spatial disorientation is real. VMC to IMC is a killer. Transition to instruments quickly. Trust your instruments, not your body. Somatographic illusion is real. A sudden acceleration, like a pilot going full throttle because he's in trouble, can feel like a sudden climb and an urge to push forward on the yoke. Guys, IMC is serious stuff. Go get your instrument rating if you haven't, and even if you have, practice an actual IMC or at least regularly with foggles. Trust your instruments, not your body. Stay safe out there. Okay, now for our Gold Seal giveaway of the 3 ground schools presented by Colten Mortgage from the last video. Check out the pinned comments on that video to see who won. We appreciate our sponsors, Gold Seal and Colten Mortgage, for doing this. And remember, if you need a home loan or a refi, go to Colten TakingOff. It's run by a pilot just like us. Let's support our aviation community. And don't forget Flying Eyes. Use our code TakingOff, all caps, one word, at theflyingeyesoptics.com for 10% off. That's it for this week. Remember, superior judgment trumps superior skills. We'll see you later.
So just as a prime example of us kind of going above and beyond to deliver a really fast process or come in where there's errors. There was a particular situation where a borrower and that mortgage company she was working with, or lender if you will, could not deliver at a fast enough pace to get the loan locked in. And we had feedback from that realtor genuinely excited about and fascinated by the fact that we could come in and flip a deal around for her client essentially.